Today we're going to talk about writing our conclusion, the last part of our essay. So we're on our 5th paragraph called the conclusion, and I'm going to guide you to go to the melcon packet because that has pretty much everything we need to know in there. And we're going to pay special attention to pages 8 and 13. So I'm on the agenda. I'm going to click on the melcon packet, and I'm just going to scroll down to page 8. Here we are. So we, by this point, have completed our introduction, and the acronym we want to use when thinking about what goes in our introduction is ACTS, A-C-T-S. We have an attention getter, connectors, a thesis statement with a summary of your main ideas, or in this case it was our 3 characteristics we were going to write about. Then we had our 3 body paragraphs. So we took each characteristic and found 3 examples to include in each of our body paragraphs. So if we wrote about Katniss and said she was smart, then this paragraph was examples of how she was smart. Maybe this paragraph was about how she was strong, and then this one could have been about how she was skilled with weapons, just as an example. So now, just as we start strong, we want to have a really strong attention getter in the beginning. We want to end strong as well. And a lot of times people get to the conclusion and they're not sure what to do. And they've written this beautiful essay and they end it in a sentence or two, which really lets the reader down. And it also is letting the writer down because they've written all this wonderful stuff and then they end it on a bad note, really. So there's another acronym to help you remember what goes in your conclusion, and it is STAC, S-T-A-C. So the S stands for summarize. You want to summarize your 3 points from your body paragraphs. Basically, you're going to restate what you wrote about here. Katniss was smart, Katniss was strong, Katniss was skilled with weapons. So it's almost like you can go back and look at your topic sentences and formulate them, same idea, different words. So you don't want to repeat what you've already said, but you're reminding the reader, again, that Katniss has these 3 characteristics, and here's what they are. What I say is go back here and grab an example and say, to wrap things up, because you want to start with a transition, Katniss was really smart, and she showed this when she helped out Rue. Furthermore, she showed strength when she cut the branch down from the tree and released the tracker jackers. And finally, she showed how skilled she was with her weapon when she hit Cato's hand with the arrow at the end of the story. Okay, so you're briefly summarizing your 3 main points, and that summarization and your thesis statement, they really go together. Just like up here, your thesis statement and your summary go together. They're one sentence. Down here, they go together, but you want to think of this as being 3 sentences because you're mentioning your 3 main points in a lengthier way. So we're going to start out with 3 sentences restating our main ideas from our body paragraphs. Our thesis will be part of this summary. Then we need an attention getter loop. It's exactly like what it says. Go back to your introduction, look at your attention getter, and tie back into that somehow. So if you started out saying, there was a really good quote, something about let the games begin or something like that. You want to tie that in again. What I mean by tie in is you can mention it again and explain it further, or you can say just as in the beginning they said let the games begin. In the end they said there was 1 winner or 2 winners. So that's what you want to do next. You don't want to repeat the same sentence, though. And finally, you want to end with either a clincher or a call to action. Your clincher might ask a question. It could be a question, a quote. It could be a strong statement. Or it could be a call to action. You have got to make a change. This is has to happen. And that's typically when you're writing about something you're trying to change. Here we're just writing about a character, so we'll kind of end it with something like, now can you imagine what the Hunger Games would have been like without Katniss, or something like that. You want it to be really interesting, and you want, just as you hooked in the reader in the beginning, you want to end by making the reader remember your last line and sit back and go, wow, that was really good. That was awesome. So go to page 8 to review what you need. And then I mentioned page 13. So I'm going to scroll down to 13. Oh, sorry, I should have said page 14. So this goes more in depth about how to write a conclusion. How do I end my essay? We all say that. How do I begin it? How do I end it? To put it really simply, your conclusion and your introduction include the same information but said in a different way. So you restate it in a different way. Right here it talks about starting with a transitional statement or phrase, which we use those all the time, but we don't want to use in conclusion or finally because those are overused. Here are some good phrases that you could try out right here. Restate your thesis and your 3 main points. Right here it talks about referencing those previous paragraphs, so these two ideas go together. Finally, and most importantly, tie your conclusion back to your introduction, which we just talked about. Here are some other ways to do that. And that's pretty much it. So, like it says, be careful of the boring, typical conclusion. Make it unique, just like the rest of your paper is that you worked so hard on. Again, I looked at pages 8 and 14 in the melcon packet, and you can find that on the agenda right here, and that is your best resource. So good luck.